Thank you very much, Droneacharya 3, for inviting me. The topic of my presentation is a little odd today, and it is that India's ostrich-like drone policy. Why ostrich-like? Because you can't hold back technology. Drone has come, it's been there for a long time, it's used by the military, and it has developed over a decade now. Apps for civil use, they are fantastic apps. They go and help development effort, and we are blind to it. We are not using them, we are losing out. And why? Because we feel that drone is dangerous. It can be misused. Of course it can be misused, and it will be misused. But by licensing drones, it's not going to solve the problem. Now, I'll give a small example of somewhere around 1972, when I was in a small place called Muzaffarnagar in UP, and there were elections to be held. And the deputy commissioner then said all licensed weapons were to be kept in the government armory. And then when we discussed, we found out that there were more unlicensed weapons than licensed weapons. So all the good guys were putting their weapons in the armory while the baddies were holding their unlicensed weapons. So what is happening? What is it that we are trying to achieve? Just by saying no drones, 2014, DGCA issued an order saying no drones. And they think that they have solved the problem. They have not. If somebody wants to misuse a drone, it's not going to seek DGCA's approval first. It's just going to use it and do it. Luckily, we haven't had a thing. As the previous speaker said, they had problems because drones were being misused around Delhi's Indira Gandhi Airport for weddings. And that was a misuse. And therefore, then they suddenly woke up and said, what to do about it if it strays in? So these are issues which are of importance. You just can't say, shut your eyes, nothing's going to happen. I'm sorry. This is not going to work. So ignoring the existence of drones or banning them is not going to solve any problem against which the government, the DGCA, the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, the Home Ministry is concerned that the misuse of drone is going to take place. It might take place, but you have to use other things, not by just banning it. You can't say that no misuse will take place now. So that is something very clear. What are you doing about it? I don't know. At the same time, it's a decade-old industry where fantastic improvements have taken place. New apps of drones are coming out. We've just heard about agriculture, about medical, about disaster management. A whole lot of things are so critical where drone application is of great use, but it's not being applied to India, especially in the private sector. The government is still allowed somewhat, although it's only the military which is allowed a free use of drones, because the civil cannot really question the military. Today, China is the biggest manufacturer of drones. There's one company, DJI, which I'm told has a market capitalization of $15 billion, and there are other companies also. And our manufacturers are struggling. Quite a few have left the country and gone abroad for various other countries where they can start something. So what was this drone thing? It started as an entertainment and sport industry, but it has really, really grown so much more that it is now required to be used for development purposes. If we want to achieve, say, the sustainable development goals, we'll require drones also for those. We'll require drones for agriculture, for water, for everything. And therefore, after sitting on it for so many years, there has been no particular anti-drone policy, but there is now the digital sky coming up. Well, very good. It's good. It's a good thing that's happening. But why do we allow ourselves to be an ostrich and say, well, we will not allow drones in civil sector at all? It doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. And if you think you have sorted out the problem of misuse, I'm sorry, I don't agree. It can happen anytime. For that, What action has been taken, we don't know. How much are the airports and other government buildings secure against anti-drones? Not much is known. India today has one of the highest ownership of drones, but in the civil sector, it's all unlicensed or unauthorized. Now, what is happening in other countries? I just made a list. I don't want to go through it, but like in Sweden or in most countries, they've had problems. Last August, 2 Stockholm airports had to halt flights, and several times after drones were spotted in the area. It occurred 4 times at certain airports. So I'm not going into it. Ireland, it is illegal to fly drones closer than 4.5 kilometers from aerodromes. Last April, flights in and out of Cork Airport were delayed, and so on. Germany, drones must be flown at a safe distance of 1.5 kilometers from the airport. In 2017, drones were seen around 70 times near German airports and another 18 times spotted by pilots. France, drones must not be flown less than 10 kilometers from the large airports. There are so many things about drones which need to be looked in. You have to take a risk. Nothing much has happened, but these countries are taking risks. They are allowing drones, and they are allowing drones for their development purposes. Anti-drone technology is coming up. It is coming up, whether good or bad, it's there. Do we need to apply it to ourselves? We have to think about it. I don't know how much our airports are actually using anti-drone technology, how much they have to use. In the United States, which is one area which has accepted drone as a new technology, and they have said that they should not be flown within 8 kilometers of airport without prior notification. Registration of drone is going on. They don't have a digital sky, but they have registration of drones. Commercial buyers need to register since opening. It is estimated that there are 1.25 million drones in USA. Only daytime flying permitted within line of sight. They have to pass aeronautical tests and apply for drone license and also get security clearance. So it's happening all over. In August 2016, US Federal Aviation Authority took a decision of full integration of drone into national airspace. It allows use of small commercial drones and unmanned systems without regulatory exemption or waiver for aircrafts less than 55 pounds and speed less than 100 miles an hour. United Kingdom that way also has done a lot of work on this subject, which I don't want to go into. So what is India doing? Now India is coming out with a grand scheme, creating a digital sky, integrating the unmanned remote piloted aircraft with the air traffic management. Very good, and I wish that this happened. It was to start on 1st January 2019, this year. So far it has not. India slept over the issue of drones. It is not accepting that drones existed. Drones were being imported into the country and were being used for commercial purposes, especially for filmmaking and covering parties and marriages. But what about the other good aspects of drones? We have missed out in years over agriculture, over other aspects, over, say, petroleum, power line inspection, everything. So many thousands of new apps have come out with drones. So we are creating a digital sky, and I would be very happy to see it happening, integrating unmanned remote piloted aircraft with air traffic management. Now, in that you require an operator's permit, and you require a pilot's permit. And these things, again, are not properly licensed, so nobody is really getting them. The pilot licensing authorities have been given to certain schools, the pilot schools which are running in India, but they also don't have really the know-how how to teach. So there is a need for proper pilot licensing system, and it should be done as early as possible. India has also introduced a nano category. Nano drones are exempt from import clearance and other requirements. Although when I tried to import a nano drone, it was stuck in customs and still there. They will not allow it to come out. So a lot of equipment requirements have been put on drones. Now whether imported drones will also have to comply with this, and there is also the concept of putting some sort of a much bigger thing than a chip, which will provide the digital sky, which will allow the movement of the drone to go up and down and will stop the drone from going beyond the digital sky or operating at a time when it is not allowed, permitted. So these are things which are now coming up. A geofencing concept is coming up. But the whole thing is that it must be implemented as soon as possible. We lose out on drone technology, on drone use and drone advantage every time we are misusing, we are delaying it. So are we going to really achieve what we are trying to achieve is that by a digital sky there will be no future lapse or no future problem on misuse of drone? Frankly, I don't think so. A misuse of drone will be done not by taking permission, not by applying for a pilot license, not for applying for a drone license. It will be done anyhow by some person who's got a motive behind it, who wants to misuse it, and it will be done. And what are we doing about that? We don't know what is happening. The gentleman from Bureau of Civil Aviation Security just said that yes, they are doing it in a very limited way for VIP security. But are we covering bigger areas? Are we doing the right thing which we need to do? And is Digital Sky going to sort that out? Frankly, I don't think it's going to happen like that. And therefore, there is a need to not only have an urgent look at what we are missing out, but also have an urgent look of what is likely to happen in spite of the digital sky. So these are some of the issues I want to raise. I think it is now time that the ground reality should be seen rather than taking a very limited view of the whole thing and take an ostrich-like position and say, well, as long as we don't allow, everything is safe, and we don't have to worry about it. These are things which are required to be taken, and it's important that we act on it quickly. Don't kill an industry which is in nascent stage. There are a lot of enthusiastic people who are interested in manufacturing drones in India, and they should be given their due. With these few words, I'd like to say that since we are running out of time, that while India will be the first country to have this digital sky, I hope it will be a viable digital sky, because the manufacturers must look into the concept of how expensive the inputs to digital sky would be for them. The second thing which I have not clearly understood is that a technology like ADS-B, which is a squitter technology, which is not very expensive, why is it not being put on drones? What is it? It just squits your position, your movement, your height, everything. And if a drone of a particular size, not a nano drone, but a drone of a reasonable size is made to have this technology on it, it'll help the air traffic control in a very big way. Other technologies like TCAS are expensive, traffic avoidance systems, and they can also be put. But ADS-B is the obvious solution for a drone industry, for tracking a drone, for making sure that the drone is moving in the right directions, at the right speed, at the right altitude. And this is so far not been done. This is not only not very expensive, but it's also a simple technology. So is this delay that is happening worth it? I don't think so, not really. And therefore I'm calling it that it is an ostrich-like position which India is taking. We have lost the first mover advantage already. You're talking about industry, make in India and all these things. The drone was one obvious place where, it was a place where we should have moved, but we haven't. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Let's hope for the best.